All right, welcome back. It says we're connected. Let me double check the YouTube feed here. There it is. Cool. Welcome back to another week of, chaos. Price action's been kind of in the overbought area on a lot of things we're watching. And at the same time, there's some opportunities that are kind of creeping up on us, and Mara is one of them. We'll get into that. But first, I wanted to take a quick look at QQQ and kind of the general market and see where we're at. Again, if you haven't joined us before, I'm Jeremy. This is my friend Matthew Tuttle, and we kind of get together and produce some price action analysis that, it hits home runs because we're holding a 94% accuracy rating on our call-outs, man. We're good. Tell your friends, bring more to the party, and we'll tap another keg. Anyway, looking at QQQ, let me get zoomed in here. We've got our 4-position grid going. I'm going to put it down to a 1 grid. As you can see, I tend to watch a 5-second chart for my scalps. I'm pretty nimble sometimes. Anyway, we're kind of holding in a consolidation pattern here, and we have been for a while, but it's coming to a point, and it looks like it may finish off tomorrow. We do have some data coming out this week, but mostly just earnings. I think we got a pretty good shot at stacking up a breakout target up here around $500.50 for QQQ, but there's some resistance on the way at a couple key points. One, we got this liquidity zone we're pushing up against right now, and then in the upper end of that range, around 497 to 499 in this area here, there's another key liquidity zone, and that was all-time highs. It's an upper range, so got to melt that before we can head here. Meantime, it's looking pretty promising. We're so far more biased to the bull side than the bear side. Worst case scenario, we'll get a pullback and see the 493.50 pivot hit again, or maybe even creep down to 491.80. I have another range down here at the 489 to 490 area that could be hit, but I think generally we're more bullish than bearish. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be bullish coming in here. You got a lot of things going on. I mean, obviously the Fed, watch treasuries because the bond market is telling us something different. But got the Fed going for you. My buddies at Brendan Wood, who run the Top Gun Fund, do a really neat survey. And what they're seeing is money managers are really bullish if Trump wins. They're going to add equity exposure. Right now, he's leading. We'll see how that goes. And just, what's going on with AI. I think you got to be bullish here.
Yeah, there's a lot of tailwind in the market as far as all that stuff goes. Long term wise, I mean, the market just keeps on melting up anyway over time, but we're approaching areas of all-time high when we get above the 500s here on QQQ, and that blow-off top was pretty obvious when we had that bear market where we're just capitalizing like crazy on that. But now we're kind of at a point where we're in that range. We're kind of threatening to fill this range bar at least in the short term, and then I think everything kind of does hinge on the election where we'll get a massive measured move out of this and start, seeing like 600 at most, maybe 550s in that range or so. That's saying a lot in the coming year, but this is the kind of setup where we got enough tailwinds kind of aligning where it could really push that high. And yeah, I agree. If Trump wins, this is going to likely produce some serious bullishness. The sword hanging over it is a law that would probably never pass with that unrealized capital gains nonsense.
That's all nonsense.
Yeah, I think that's just blowing smoke, because if that passes, it would more or less be the end of America as we know it.
Look at who her donors are. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a bunch of wind.
Yeah.
We know better. Technical analysis says, we're likely to remain bullish. And, as far as all of that stuff goes, you can't threaten crap like that and expect people to go along with it. I mean, I kind of like owning equity in a home. I don't want to pay taxes on something that I'm already paying taxes on. And I'm not the only American who thinks that way, I'm sure. So anyway, we have a couple things to revisit from last week, and then we've got a couple of small things on our watch list as far as stuff that we're expecting to move. I guess I'll just lead right into MARA. This has been kind of an ongoing setup that seems to just keep paying the bills. And right now, I still have a reversion target. It's red. I didn't paint it white, but it's all the way up here at $20.36. Long term, though, that's a that's a drop in the bucket compared to what we can see for a full reversion target, which is, I mean, up here in the 32 range. But short term, I think we're pretty much set to push right up against that $20.35 area. And I myself bought a bunch of $20 strike calls into that yesterday, so looking good so far.
Great lines. What did I buy yesterday? No, I bought January 17.5.
That's a different strategy for me. I'm always out of the money and frugal. In the money works too, and you get higher delta in the money.
I'm up 9.64%.
Nice. I haven't checked on mine yet. Let me go back into it. Wrong button. That brokerage doesn't show me percent, but I have about 10% on those since yesterday, which is not too bad, I guess.
No.
Out of the money, into money. Sheboygan. Anyway, this thing is consolidated to the point where we're looking for the breakout move. Measured move-wise, I mean, you can obviously see the primary and secondary here has been met. A 2-for-1 would take us to that $20 area, and even halfway there, I mean, $19.60 kind of sits right in the middle. So it's got potential to get us there pretty quick here. And again, this is, it's influenced by a lot more than just news. This is pretty much the whole bucket of the market can pretty much be attached to MARA somehow. But all of that just portrays into what's underlying in the equity, and you can kind of look up what they do pretty simply. Moving into the next thing, we have kind of a look back on NVIDIA, Microsoft, and AMD as far as chips go, and they're kind of following through. Last week, we talked about this measured move on NVIDIA here coming through the liquidity zone and creeping on up to my long-term target. Well, when I say long-term, I mean a couple months from now, maybe at most. 147.60 is my target up here. I'll stand by that because that's a full measured move up. Kind of ate through that liquidity zone since we called that out. We knew that this was a consolidation point for this particular area last week when we talked about it, and it's met that. Now we're kind of just consolidating right under the last quarter of this full block measured move here, hitting resistance around 144.50. I think we got a pretty good shot of consolidating through that and maybe getting into hitting that target after all. And then again, don't forget earnings on the 20th. I'm pretty sure this run-up is kind of leaning on a bullish outcome for earnings into that, but this is kind of the limit where I would say there's resistance here. If we hit that, it's likely to pull back and come back into this liquidity zone a little bit more and consolidate just before earnings, just from what I can see. But for the time being, it's been a good swing trade, and I can stress my elbow with a back pat for that one, I think. Into Microsoft, kind of the same rub. We came into our regression line off of this liquidity zone. Regression lines, I just draw it on the wedge here. It's just kind of the middle point between angular resistance and angular support. This is kind of a skewed line because we have a much higher high and a much lower low in this range. So I tied those in and found the trend line here. This is an expected angular resistance later on, and it's about a half a measured move by the time price gets to it at about 445 or so. For the time being, splitting that down the middle and running a trend line through about the middle of all of this consolidation to begin with takes us right to where our target is today. And at the bottom edge of that measured move setup, kind of lines right up with it. So we got good follow through on that. We talked about this last week and I believe the week before as well. And it's kind of followed exactly to plan on that. And it's a reversion anyway, so we know where that was. forward from that, I mean, we're looking at earnings here on the 30th. And yeah, that's going to be a cool Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Can it blast into maybe pushing above the 440 range? I think it's got a pretty good shot, but earnings hype will tend to take things up that way if people are generally bullish about Mr. Soft, and they are. Can we say maybe if during the beginning of the call they have some negative thing to say and then come into guidance being bullish down the road? Perhaps we get a really fast flash trade in the earnings call and tap this regression line one more time. I've seen that quite often. I used to trade those to the number on Amazon earnings after hours. I would be, taking a break from work because I worked in the mountain time zone. I'd take a break from work just to trade Amazon's earning calls. And I'd just scalp a few shares of it when I was trading at like $3,000. And just make a few $100s in just a couple minutes on those calls because I know where these levels are. I always pay attention to them on things like Microsoft as well because sometimes you'll get during the earnings call a very fast movement, and knowing where those targets are is key. So you know exactly where to watch for a reversal to take the half back or just scalp it back to a reasonable target or a reasonable value somewhere between fair market value and the range within. So knowing where those are, it gives you a really good clue on how to scalp those on an earnings call. But in the meantime, strength is building, and today we had one nice move up, and it went exactly to that regression line target and pulled back. Now we're remaining consolidating in this range here, likely to form a little wedge here and maybe give us the push through that. So things are looking pretty bullish for Microsoft. One that you mentioned not last week but the week before, it was kind of we added it on towards the end of our show last week or the week before, and then there was a user who in a comment asked us about it, and I've analyzed it and I'm still kind of scratching my head on it a bit. But LRCX, it's still kind of consolidating here.
Yeah.
We were thinking maybe if it holds this liquidity zone, we might be buyers here to catch a quick reversion, back to like $80 or so. But I'm not so sure that's going to play out. If it breaks this liquidity zone, it's got a couple other targets in the bearish region of like 64.50 and God forbid $50.
No, I'd say there are other semis.
Yeah, there's definitely other things to look at, and this is not a reversal. This is looking more and more like a bear flag as time grinds on here, and this is the key zone to watch. Might be a decent short though if it lets loose. I mean, I would say a good short target to the 200 weekly average, or if you wanted to get it into the daily average. Dang it, my chart's all out of whack. The other magnet is the 200-day is a reversion, so it's like, watch this zone. Either we will get a failed bear flag and rip to the reversion target or meet the 200 period in it, or we keep going south and we get a full MM out of this thing short term. I mean, this is a primary here. The secondary would put us somewhere around $61, $62, and then a full reversion to the next target would take us even lower to like that 57, 60 pivot down here. So yeah, I think be patient on this one. Just kind of don't be a dip buyer here just yet. Wait for this zone to give you a breakout rather than try and trade this setup, because this is not a place where I would want to be bullish yet. I want to wait and see.
No, same. Yeah, same.
But I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled for a good short, because yes, that does have a good tendency to break that and give you a fast move down. So I might consider running some puts on that, or maybe even shorting it. I'm undecided yet. I'm going to wait. But it is a good mention, and it's good to keep an eye on this thing, and it's got just the right volatility to make charting pretty easy on it. So, have patience here. It will eventually break out. It'll either give you a really nice reversion trade or a even nicer short trade or bearish trade. Intel Corp, man, this thing's a dog.
Yeah, no, I do not like Intel.
I'm still in a wheel trade. I'm still trading water in this thing, but I think I might be able to sell a put with a strike around 21 or 20 and just sit and get paid to maybe average down a little bit if I'm going to still be long in this thing. Covered calls just aren't worth selling right now. They're just kind of crappy. I may just bail on this position and roll it into something else because it's not taking a huge chunk of my capital, but I could certainly do better things with it. And, it's not a very fruitful wheel trade percentage-wise. I was anticipating maybe a reversion trade out of this thing and scalping the base to the reversion, but didn't quite make it. So, it's probably a good time to just move my capital into bigger, better things, like maybe I don't know, in VDX or MST.
Yeah, we have a new ETF today, EUAD.
EUAD. What's this one?
Not a trading vehicle. It is the only European aerospace and defense ETF.
Sweet.
The idea is that Trump wins, Europeans are on their own. She wins, war in Ukraine keeps going. More likely to have a war in Europe. Either way, we think the European defense makers are poised.
That's a good position. Probability-wise, it's leaning on Trump winning, but you get into the what ifs, and that would make a smart investment vehicle long term. And then even short term, it might end up being something that gives you an opportunity to get into European aerospace technology with a lot lower risk exposure. So that's kind of a good idea. I like that. And if Boeing keeps going the way it's going, perhaps that'll be a boon for the European aerospace industry anyway.
Probably, yeah. We have Airbus.
Yes, Airbus is a much bigger player in that space than one would think if you look into it. Compare apples to apples. They've been around a long time, and they're doing really well in spite of this whole thing. So I actually like Airbus. They're a good company, and personal opinion, I would almost say some of their stuff is better built than some of the other stuff that we have in the States here. But just I want to side eye that. I don't want to say that out loud. But I've seen it up close, and it's a little bit. I have to say a little bit better appearing engineering to a non-expert such as myself. Just saying.
Yeah.
They just seem to have fewer cracks in the paint when they're aging. Let's just say that. Moving on to the other chip that we kind of been watching is AMD. And right now we're looking like a decent short setup is starting to take shape once it melted through this liquidity zone. Two targets in there. Of course, we got one at about 150.60 and maybe an extension to like 148. Dare I be bearish here? Yeah, I'm kind of liking the setup. It looks like it broke that bear flag.
Too. Broke the 50-day today.
Just beautiful. And then we do have earnings coming up here, so get ready for a surprise the day before Halloween. Maybe if we finish this measured move and we hold the 138.60 pivot down here and we start to get bullish, we get a sweet reversion trade after earnings to like 156, 157. So keep an eye on the earnings for that one. I kind of like the idea of being, an investor in AMD. They've been a great company, but like many chip makers, they spent a lot of money on AI, so there's going to be some time involved in those returns. Long story, though, I think we still have a shot if maybe, I don't know, they announce buying a nuclear power plant themselves or something. Who knows? They might have a chance at getting back to that 183.90, which is my ultimate long-term target if things kind of settle here. It's got a good shot at it, but
I'd just rather buy NVIDIA.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was what I was going to say, actually. Great minds. NVIDIA's better. So let's wait on AMD to figure things out. We're coming up on earnings. Things look bearish for now. It's a good short for the time being, but eventually we should see some recovery in this thing once people start getting returns from their long-term oversized investment. Let's just say that. They took a big chunk of change and put it in this AI thing, and NVIDIA did too. So let's just wait and see. And then on to NVIDIA, speaking of things. We're looking at follow-through to our target pretty dead on, guys. I mean, I put it at 147.59 here, and it could even hit that today. What do you think?
It could very well. I mean,
it's just a block away. I mean, we've got our primary. There's consolidation.
Nice volume in NVDX today. Yeah, I mean, I continue to say buy the dips in NVIDIA.
Oh yeah, baby.
When people come out negative, go ahead and buy.
Keeps rolling. Worst case scenario, we return to liquidity here around 141, but so far that trend has been pretty strong. Don't ignore the little monkey in the sand here playing. We've hit that target more or less. We can come for a half back on that and play around in liquidity, but for now, it's still looking pretty damn bullish. And when's the earnings on that one? We're looking at the 20th. So yeah, things are going to get exciting. So let's give this one some time to work out some consolidation in this range, and maybe we'll get that finishing move up to that bull target here. That's my analyst target. If I self-proclaim myself as an analyst, a professional analyst, that's where my target would be. I could call myself self-proclaimed. I like that idea.
There you go.
A few hits you had last week.
Identify as whatever you want here.
That's kind of, I guess, politically correct anyway. I identify as a professional analyst. There we go. Now I can avoid all the lawsuits too. Looking at a few call-outs you had, we're looking at, let's see, Vista Corp was a good one. Kind of met that target and then pulled exactly back to the halfback, and now we're kind of below that range. Are you looking maybe to short this one, or we want to wait and see what happens?
No, I'm not going to short these names. Let me step back. I do run a couple of models where we do short overbought names for real quick trades. So theoretically, It could end up on that list. It's not on that list now.
So, I mean, essentially absorbing some exit liquidity and then taking some entrance liquidity later on. So a quick short to get a better position and compound. That's kind of my MO anyway.
I've got long dated calls on this one.
Nice. And this is someone had asked me to make a video explaining the poor man's covered call strategy, where you go and buy a leap long call and then sell short monthly calls against it in the meantime. This might be a decent candidate for exactly that if it has a good options chain. I haven't looked at it yet, but that's exactly what you would do. You would go and be long dated calls long on the position, and then say sell a monthly covered call against that position. As long as it is above your break-even price on your long call, as far as break-even overall for your cost basis on that, fair game. So if you got long on this position at say 127.60, you sold at first 137 or 138 covered calls against that, and then bought them to close in this range. Run maybe a little compounding, entering a little bit more long on the equity, take some of that profit, put it in there, buy it here, sell the covered calls up here in a 142 range, and so on and so forth. You would have probably recovered, just off the top of my head, probably about 10 to 15% of your cost basis on the long calls just in 2 moves on this thing over the past couple weeks here. And then now, if you've got a covered call on from this impulse here, you're doing great. That thing will expire worthless. Just let it go. And then when we hit this range here, we can go in and compound into our long position a little more. So that's exactly it. Take the short-term volatility and use it to your advantage, and basically get paid to collect more and more of a lower average on your cost basis over time. And later on, when you get down to the last 45 days to expiration on your leaps, which are typically 6 months to a year, out, you can go and roll those and have that cost basis take a ride with it, so that you can have your average lower than the long position. And I think I'll make a more detailed video explaining that strategy in the future. So thanks for the suggestion. I'll give it the go. I take requests, and actually I could say we take requests. So don't call Kramer, call us. We'll give you answers. Another one you called out, Southern. This thing has been just a beast. Now we've finished that consolidation. We broke out of a broadening pattern, bullish, which is kind of rare. But we also have a bit of contention with two targets. We got 102 here, and then my self-proclaimed analyst target up here is 113.28 or 113.30. We'll round it to. Are you still long on this one? This one looks great.
Let's see. Should be. Yep. Yeah, January calls.
Nice. Yeah, you're doing well. You're probably up quite a bit on those. I think at the short term, we're looking at the 2-hour chart. We've got a little bit of a possible pullback here to like $91.20, $92 or so. You can see that there was a very quick, I don't know if that was erroneous price action or not. Are you kidding me? Somebody got filled at 89 on that? Cool. Good for you, sir. Or ma'am. But now we're kind of coming into a wedge here, and we have a chance at a pullback to 90 to 92 on the 4-hour and the 2-hour. But I think we're just gonna actually, let's call that a primary move. Yeah, she's still bullish. If all this is met, okay, that's where we're going to consolidate, probably right in that range here. I'd say you probably got a good opportunity to get in right at about $92 and then carry on. So if you bought the dip on that, if you were late to the party, this trend is still pretty damn strong. We're looking pretty good on this thing. Again, short-term target, 101, 102. And then with extension, if it follows through with the measured move pattern we have set up here, there's your analyst target right there, looking good. I think even Kramer would say buy this one, huh? might be a Kramer bar in that one. That might have been when he said buy it. I don't know. He mentioned something about an entry into the nuclear space finally, I think earlier in the week, and I don't even watch him anymore, so I don't care what it was, but I bet it was this. Yeah, that makes sense. Your other call out that was absolutely, ballistic was OKLO. Holy smokes, man.
Great one.
That was a home run. Like you hit it out of two parks with that one. That was brilliant. It even blew away my analyst target up here at about 1280. It smoked that by a whole move higher. It went up to 2293 here at the all-time high. Damn, dude. Great call. I blocked this out. This whole block here is just adding these two together, and you can see the bar started right here on the daily and just ripped through that target even. So now we're looking at this as support. So if this thing holds around $20, we got a pretty good shot of accumulating in that range and going even higher. And then you look at the monthly chart, you don't have enough history to really call out anything higher than that. So thing just hasn't been around that long. So be aware that these long wicks start appearing on a chart like this. Look left. There's your clues. These things will get capitalized. It's a bit of an overshoot. So if you haven't taken profit on this thing yet, you might consider it here and wait for this accumulation. If this breaks out bullish and continues, sure, buy the breakout above 2250 and take it longer. But for now, be aware that the critical support on this part of the move is going to be about $20.20. So if it starts smoking that with some momentum beyond a wick closing here, be careful. Just be nimble with this one. This one is in that overbought territory where we're like, yeah, it's not standing out to us as a good entry at this point, but we'll still watch it because it can consolidate and continue higher. Another one you had was pretty astounding, ASML. Dead cat, perfect bounce right back to that pivot we marked out last week, and it breached just a little bit above it, came back short. Good call on the dead cat for that one. Can it hit that full reversion up here? It's possible. 765 is kind of where I would draw the line at that thing. I guess we just asked, did you end up taking that trade and hopefully you took some profit on it?
No, I'm still in. This is a long-term play for me. Looks like we're doing right here. It's a lumpy one, but you need their products. Problem is they have big ticket items, a few customers, and it's real easy, to have a disappointment.
Oh, for sure. And we can see this falling channel here is right at support. So long term, it could very well start heading for some more bull targets up in here. Now, actually, I'm going to draw this with a zone because I can see that wick plain as day right there. How about that is our range target, 850 to 870. If this thing bounces off this pivot, and it's already kind of given back the previous consolidation in this trend. So yeah, watch this thing. It might end up being a good long term. For the dead cat, though, I mean, I certainly, for short-term day traders and swing traders alike, take some profit here and then wait to see what happens with this consolidation, obviously. But, in the meantime, if you're long term, the goal is getting back to these numbers, and it's very possible. There have been a few companies in the past where I've seen some like penny stocks. I can't remember the ticker, but it was I want to say it was an investment bank or something like that was traded, and essentially it was just kind of flat, paid a dividend, stayed in a range for a while, had a dead cat very similar to this, and it gave the entire range back because it was just some kind of crap that some news analyst said about it, caused everybody to panic sell, and then just it's almost like the reverse of a short squeeze. It just fell off a cliff. People got a little bit too nervous about holding their long position. And then, it went down from I think it was like $24 to like $8. I picked it up and just swung it right back to the upper range on that thing. It was just a day trade at first, and then it became a very good swing trade on that. And it was optionable, so it was just absolutely a killing profit on that one. So keep an eye on these dead cats. When you see them like this and they start to accumulate and they start to form a reversal, and if the news that made it drop like that is kind of erroneous or just built on lies or speculation, they're usually a good opportunity. So that's a good dip buy right there. Keep an eye on it though. Just be nimble. Anyway, where are we at now? We got a couple others to watch. Get into my other list here. I have too many watch lists, guys. Going back into a couple that I analyzed on request, and start with NVO. Kind of, we talked about it a bit beforehand, but now we're in a range where we're likely to finish a little bit more of this bullish move, but we've accumulated here. It's kind of lowish volume, but it's got gappy trends that are still readable, and we're in range. Kind of keep an eye on this. We could end up with a double bottom here, and then a reversion trade would be 124-ish for that particular part of the trend. And then the pivot to break would be this resistance area here, which was a previous reversion, about 121. So this one's starting to maybe set up a bounce off of this low here. It's just below the half measure move block that we built out for it. So if we end up with a double bottom reversal here, cool, we can go back to the upper ranges on this thing. But also kind of be aware that this is also a critical support area. If this breaks, this repeat down to this level is pretty obvious, around 105, 106 or so. So kind of keep an eye on this thing. Plus, it's got earnings coming out on the 6th here. So, there's going to be some volatility and hype in this thing, making it move around. But keep an eye on this. This can still be a reversal instead of a bear flag. So watch for the support levels in the previous low range here. Maybe draw out a short-term liquidity zone right off this wick. As long as it holds above that, we're in good shape for bulls. But if we smoke that, look out below because it'll be a great short. Mostly following up this week. This Thursday, Matthew and I are kind of deciding whether we want to do a hiatus or if I want to do a guest spot to fill in for Matthew. We both got a webinar we're attending. So we kind of have a couple meetings beforehand, and it kind of makes the schedule a little fun.
I'm supposed to be on Maria Bartiromo that morning, so
that might be a drive to the studio.
I haven't been on Maria in forever.
Very cool. Well, give us a shout out. But
right.
we tend to have some interesting things that we end up doing. Like I get into some talks with a few other people, and occasionally I have meetings. So sometimes my schedule is a little funny, but I try to make it so we're on at least twice a week here. But this Thursday is kind of in the air. If I can fill in with a guest spot and I can get the time, we'll be here tentatively Thursday with probably a guest spot. Otherwise, if I'm not going to be able to do it for some reason, then I can get an announcement onto our social medias and say, "Hey, man, sorry, I'm taking a hiatus today." But we'll play it by ear for now. So tentatively, I'll be here Thursday, and Matthew might be a little bit busy, so he might be in a meeting. And then we both have that webinar afterwards, so it's gonna be a fun-filled day for both of us anyway. So we'll be around. Another one that I wanted to get into pretty quickly, APO. Man, if this thing didn't do exactly what we said it was going to do, and then some. Again, my self-proclaimed analyst target, 143.21, and it smoked it, baby. Nice moves. Now we're consolidating. This is now support. Whenever resistance is broken, it's almost always tested as support. What are we thinking? Do we stay long in this thing, or do we just take our profit and wait for the next leg? I'm kind of thinking
I'd take your profit and wait for the next leg.
And hopefully it gives us a pullback to 135 again. That would be cool. I do like this name. It seems to have been doing very well for every bit of price action we've analyzed on it. And again, this was a user request. This is one that we had looked at in the past, but it was requested that we do analysis on it quick. And man, again, I'll break my elbow one of these days, pat myself on the back. That was a good one. Again, we're not joking about that 94% accuracy. This is what we do. So, like I said, tell your friends, like and subscribe and all that. But, above all, we love to help people, and we feel great when we get to do that. So, being in the genre of pay it forward type of people, Matthew and I, we kind of have a similar thinking in that. We love helping people. And we also love providing support for people wanting to learn. So, I mean, if you ever have any questions you wanted to ask us in a comment or even after the show, if you reach out to us, we get back to you. We'll answer those questions. Also, if you have a ticker you want us to look at and maybe take an interest in and find some price action for it and call out some targets on, we're happy to do that. Like I said, don't call Kramer. Call us. We'll give you some actual answers instead of a bunch of dancing around on a sound stage and hitting buttons. And chanting things. We don't do a buy and sell around here. We just don't do that. We'll give you the goods. We'll give you the analysis. We'll give you the fish that actually will feed you for more than a day. Anyway, any others to mention? I know we're kind of sitting and waiting to see if some things popped off, but so far this market seems to be waiting for earnings week to come here.
Yeah, so. I mean, I don't think you're going to see a lot until we start getting some clarity from earnings.
Yeah, it seems to be about the gist of it here. I mean, there's a couple things moving around a bit here. I mean, we got creative media took a bad dive here. Maybe we'll get a dead cat out of that one. Probably not. It's a loser. I go and look at some of these more active stocks, and I look for quick reversion trades and stuff like that. And some stuff is starting to shape up, but there's not a whole lot that really interests me. Riley B Financial here. I'm thinking maybe we get a shot back at $8 again, but just stuff that kind of pops up on my scanners. I look for stuff that's just busy, and if it doesn't have a good setup, I don't even mess with it. But I'm always looking, and
I am. I like my themes.
Absolutely,
AI power, gold, crypto, European defense, self-defense, politically neutral. Yeah, but everything's
good stuff.
Extended.
I have a few friends who, back when we were scalping a lot of silver movement, in some of the ETFs related to silver and stuff. Now they're seeing silver at like 35, 36 bucks an ounce when they bought it at 20. I mean, they're dancing. And we were like all over that.
Yeah, silver I missed, but I'm waiting for a pullback.
Yeah, I've got some friends who are
like PAAS when I buy silver.
I got some friends who are taking profit on it, and there's a reason why those silver ingots like just sell off the shelves. I mean, even Costco's selling it, you know. Where do we go next with silver? You know, I think there's going to be some profit taking here. I got some friends who are taking tremendous profits on it now, and they're just waiting for a little pullback. So it'll come. You know, things get kind of blown out, especially when you have a very pivotal election coming up. We've got lots of things going on with lots of different structures in financial markets, and silver and pretty much any metal is going to make big plays in that. But then we love to trade the miners because the volatility is much higher in the miners, especially the juniors. And, you know, we get some of those too. But in the meantime, just kind of keep an eye on some market opportunities here. I think we're going to start seeing some decent pullbacks and some decent opportunities to give us in the future here. And like sticking to the themes, if you watch sectors or even take ETFs and break down to their top 10 holdings, you can find some good trade opportunities in that too. So if you're looking into some ETFs, some of those leveraged ones are great too. And I love trading, you know, NVDX is one of my favorites. And MSTU has been killing it too.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, these are pretty obvious measured moves, and just everything plays very well with these. And if you're not into options, or if you're into limiting your risk exposure, these things are freaking gold. I know I'm kind of, you know, basically marketing my friend's whole business here, but hey, dude, if it's tradable and it's usable for generating income or profit, or just scalping the living daylights out of it, that's what it's there for. Enjoy. You're welcome. All of the T-Rex stuff just seems to kick butt. I mean, occasionally you'll have, you know, ones that, you know, may not meet certain performance standards and get into a situation, but for the most part, they do very well. I keep a whole block of them, and now I got to add the other one. What was that ticker again? The European Aerospace?
Oh, EUAD.
EUAD. Added. I've got the whole list of those, and I watched them constantly. SKRE again. We hit our bear targets on that thing, and now we're looking for possibly a quick rip back for reversion on that bad boy to 2150. So I'm keeping my eyes on that one. That's been a good one for entering later. And let me see, what was the other one I was looking at? Although I wish it had more volume, APP or AAPX. That cup and handle is pretty damn obvious for Apple traders. This is a great opportunity to take advantage of the breakout on this thing. Another leveraged ETF that's just awesome. What was the other one we're looking at? Well, MSTU, obviously. That thing's been awesome. I see a diamond pattern, though, so I'm like thinking maybe we either get a quick reversion trade or a really fast breakout. Keep an eye on MSTI as well as MSTU for this move to take place here. I'll give this one away real quick. Let's put a price target on that bad boy. If the bulls like it and it starts to pick off from here, pretty obviously we've got 74 bucks in the order. And worst case scenario, we get a reversion trade back to previous support. Probably right around 57, actually, if I'm not mistaken here. And in comparison, let me get MSTI on here. Whoops. What the heck? How did I mess that up?
What is MSTI? You mean MSTR?
Yeah. Sorry. MSTR. I messed it up. I don't know why I was thinking MSTI. something I looked at earlier got in there and confused things. Plus, this is that time of day where my brain starts to fade, so bear with me. When you get to doing as much price action analysis as we do, man, it consumes a lot of calories with them brain cells, and eventually they got to take a break. This is that time for me. So yeah, we're still looking pretty damn bullish. I think we got a good shot at finishing this 1.5 move here, and it's kind of the same target I can see. For 243 here looks pretty good for a target on this one. Can it finish a full 2-for-1 out of this thing? Of course it can, but meantime, I think this trend has been pretty parabolic for a while now. It's got to pull back somewhere, and if it's going to shoot up, this is where it'll go. If it consolidates here for a while first, it's got a higher probability of hitting that. But if it breaks support here, well, the halfback's pretty obvious. So stay nimble with MSTI or MSTR and MSTU for that matter. But again, if you don't want the exposure of $200 a share, MSTU is for you. That thing is just awesome for trading, and it's very efficient too. Your trader on there is, I love that guy. Any other mentions? I think that's about it.
All I got.
Pretty much wrap it. Sorry, it's been such a short week without a huge amount of call-outs, but swing trades are, the land of opportunity for us traders, and we do have quite a few, but some we're just going to wait and see what happens with the breakout on whether or not we break bullish or bearish on things. But so far, I think things are lining up for some big moves going into earnings here, and I like a lot of different names out there for some pretty good stuff. So stay tuned. Tentatively, again, we'll be here Thursday, and definitely next Tuesday we'll come out again and give some decent setups for going into earnings. I think we're going to start to see some stuff really take shape. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Thanks again, guys.